So welcome back to Outdoors with the Morgans. It is opening day of deer season here in Pennsylvania. And you know, I was thinking this was the 47th year in a row that I've gone out on opening day. I haven't missed one. And this morning, if it hadn't been for Levi, nephew Christian, and Ed coming over, I may have just rolled back over and went to bed. Didn't sleep real good last night. Bunch of sinus congestion. Everyone has had something the last couple weeks, but I went to bed late and I woke up about 4:30 and I was like, man, I could get a couple more hours in. I could, but I pushed through and went out in the woods. Father-in-law Ed and I, we sat in a mini cabin. We saw probably 20 doe in the first hour or so. Levi saw some doe, I think a small buck. Nephew Christian saw a bunch of deer as well. So it was a good morning. And then I had to run out for a little bit. And right now it's 2:40 in the afternoon. It's going to be dark about 5. And I'm going to try the impossible. I'm going to go down to the wood yard first because we have no more wood left in the wood rack. I'm going to try to saw a white pine log on the sawmill because I need some more siding for the new barn. And then we're going to try to get out to the woods and get a big buck, all in the next 2 hours and 15 minutes. Yeah, 47 years, never missed an opening day. It wasn't always easy, but I always managed to make it happen. I even quit a job one time. I'm trying to think when that was. That would have been the early 90s. I worked for a blasting company, and I had been there a long time, and they knew I was off the first day of deer season. For months, for years, I was always off the first day of deer season. Well, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, my boss told me, he's like, hey, I need you to work Monday. That's back when opening day was on Monday. And before I could even say anything, he said, I know you want to take off for deer season. He goes, but you can take off Tuesday and Wednesday. I need you to work Monday. And I said, nah, I'm not going to. He said, well, you have to. I said, okay. So I sat down, I picked up the phone, and I called Melissa to come get me because I had a company truck. And I said, hey, come over to the office and pick me up. I quit. And she's like, okay. And so she jumped in the car, and my boss heard me call, and he said, what did you just do? I said, I quit. I said, I got a company truck and I don't want to walk home, so Melissa's coming over to get me. And he kind of stammered around for a little bit there and said, fine. He said, we'll make something else work. And I said, see, it wasn't that important, was it? You know, there's always a way. And so this was back, we didn't have cell phones. I think back then I had like a bag phone or something, one of the first ones. So I go back in, I try calling Melissa. She had already left. So about 10 minutes later, she pulls into the office and she said, what's going on? And I said, I quit. And she says, why? I go, everything's fine. I'm back. She said, like all in the last 15 minutes? I said, yes. So she left and I was off the first day. So out of that one white pine, I got a 2x10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 1x10s that will be used as siding. I sawed 2 the other day, and the reason I wanted to get one more, when I put them up on the building, I like to work from 3 logs. So in other words, picture 3 stacks of lumber from 3 different logs. I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that, to keep it random. So you don't have like this knot showing in 3 or 4 consecutive boards. So that's good. I enjoy sawing white pine for my own use. I don't like sawing it for anybody else just because there's not really any money in it, but it gives you great satisfaction using it for your own projects, and it's going to look beautiful on that barn out there. All right, we got a big old bucket of firewood here, and we got that log sawed, and it is now 3:20 p.m. So what is that, about 35 minutes? Not too shabby. I'm not going to load the wood rack right now. I am going to stoke the fire. I can do that later this evening. We'll just pull this up by the building here, grab my hunting clothes, hop in the buggy, and go see if we can't find a deer. A buck. Oh yeah. Alrighty. Alright, I'm headed out. I'm taking the buggy out, and I'm just going to leave it right at the edge of the field. Then I'll walk over to the mini cabin. People always say, why don't you just walk out? Because if you drive out in this, and there's deer like down in here, or over there, or wherever, they'll let you just drive right by. But if you walk out here, and you literally snap like a little twig, they're gone. I see a deer. And it's a doe. See what I mean? How they let you drive by? There's another one down there. If I was walking, as soon as I came through the gate at the house, they would have been gone. I gotta go get in the shack. Yeah, there's actually 3 over there. I should probably pay attention. This morning, when we came out here, we parked here right at the edge of the field, walked over into the mini cabin, and 5 minutes later, there was a doe standing right beside the buggy over here. All right, it is first thing in the morning, but last night when I got to the mini cabin, I was there for probably, I don't know, a half hour or so, and I had these 2 doe come into the food plot. They were only here for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I tell you what, they can come right in on you. You got to be looking at all times. You never know from what direction they're going to come, and they just seem to have this ability to appear. On that side of the mini cabin, I actually need a bigger window. What happened was this food plot wasn't here when I built the mini cabin, and I was kind of concentrating my efforts out in front of me, but now there's a lot more action behind me where the food plot is. But that mini cabin, we're going to do a lot of things different with that. That's going to get moved eventually, but it has served us well. And then this is looking out the front window of the mini cabin, way over in this other hill here. That's probably 150 yards over. There were some doe over there, just kind of meandering around. I don't even know if you can see them. They're right there in the center of the screen. But that's a long way over there. You know, when we hunted out west, 150 yards is nothing. But here, trying to look through all that, it's something. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty difficult to see. This is out the side window right here. I had a little buck. He snuck in on me. I don't think he's legal. Probably a little 6-point or something. But he stopped in the food plot for literally a minute, just kind of passing through. And I think these are those same doe over on the other hill. And I actually saw a little spike chasing these doe here in a little bit. So I think the rut is still kind of happening. But from 3:30 till 5 o'clock last night, I saw probably 18 or 19 deer and 2 little bucks. So we definitely have plenty of deer, almost too many. I mean, they still look healthy and all that, but more and more housing plans, they just keep getting pushed in here, and they're literally everywhere. I mean, the first day of deer season, I saw probably 45 or 50 deer. Now this doe here, she came right in on me. You can tell she's a little skittish. She knows something's not right. She just doesn't know what it is. And she passes in front of it. But what happened was, right at dark, I had probably 10 deer all around me. And you don't want to come busting out of there, so I sat there till about a half hour after dark. I don't know if they were all gone or not, but it was a pretty good day, even though I didn't get a big buck. All right, check this out. At 5:29 a.m. this morning, this little buck was out there at the food plot. We call him Flat Top. Not a real big rack, but he's around quite a bit. And then here just a little bit ago, there was a decent 8-point out there. Yeah, that's at 6:42. It's going to get light in about 20 minutes. I'm not going out this morning. I got some other things I got to take care of. But he's a pretty decent buck right there for around here. We have a few that are bigger, a few that are smaller. This one would be kind of a tweener, but a decent, typical 8-point for our area. Which kind of brings me to my next topic. I've been thinking a lot about this. And that is how first television and then the internet, I'm not saying it ruined deer hunting. It didn't ruin it, but it just changed everything. And everything has changed. I talked about that before. Like when I was a kid, if you would have gotten either one of those bucks that I just showed you, you would have been the talk of the town. I'm not kidding. Back then, every buck, you called a rack buck if it looked like this. And our deer have gotten bigger just because there's a lot less people hunting and they live longer and they get older. I don't care what the Game Commission says about their antler restrictions and all that. It doesn't matter. There's just a lot less people hunting. The deer get older, they get bigger, and you get bigger racks. But like television and internet, everybody starts comparing deer even though you're from different areas. Here where we live, Western Pennsylvania, you can get some pretty decent bucks, but nothing like the ones I've seen over in Ohio and Illinois and other states like that where they have just monster bucks. Now, someday, it's kind of a good news, bad news scenario. The less people that hunt here, the bigger the bucks are going to get. I see them right out the road. Near the housing plans now. They're starting to look like a typical huge Ohio buck. We're starting to see them around here in Pennsylvania just because we're getting 5 and 6 and who knows, maybe even 7-year-old deer and that are eating well, eating people's shrubs and everything else in the housing plans. So as time goes on, I think the bucks are going to get bigger. There's going to be less and less hunters. If I didn't have my own property to hunt on, I don't even know if I'd go out. I don't. So I give a lot of credit to guys that get ready, drive a couple hours or even a half hour down the road and go get set up to go hunt. I think I am spoiled by always having a place to hunt ever since I was a kid, whether it be on my parents' property or my grandma's property back in the day, or our property since we bought it back in, I don't know what year it was, 93 or 94. But everything's changed. It has. But like I said, those $2, man, if you got one of them back in the day, you would have been driving around town with that thing in the back of your truck showing everybody. But now, the bucks are a lot bigger and a lot less people would care to see your buck. It's just the way it is. It's a dying sport, but I think our family at least, and many, many others are going to continue it. It's just not like it used to be. That's okay. You can't change what other people are going to do. You just have to enjoy what you're going to do and make your own decisions. But I think later on today, I'm going to go out. Like that 8-point I just showed you, even 10 years ago, if I saw that on a trail camera right before daylight, I would be wound up to get out there and hopefully catch a glimpse of them. But it has all changed. Some good, some bad. But anyway, I think that's about it for today's video. Kind of rambling, short video today. We're going to kind of get back to our regularly scheduled programming here in the next day or two. But before I wrap this up, don't forget, sign up for our newsletter. Just go to outdoorswiththemorgans.com. There will be a pop-up that comes up. Enter your email, and you are signed up for our newsletter. Appreciate y'all being here, and I will catch you on the next one.